Okay. All right, call the meeting to order.
Of course, here.
On our agenda, the first thing we're going to do is elect a chair and vice chair. So are there any nominations?
Someone who's not here now. Someone who's not here now.
Bruce, I would like to nominate you for chair.
Thank you.
Chair, I thought it was vice chair.
And
I'll second that.
is there a nomination for vice chairman?
Want to do it, Frank?
I would nominate Frank.
Yeah. What do you think?
I would second that.
I'll third that.
My business card isn't big enough.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So done, so be it. So now, I'm sure everybody had a chance to read the rules of procedure that were sent to you in the packet. I need a motion to adopt the rules of procedure for 2026. Would somebody care to make a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
How about you?
I'll second that.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so moved. There is a sheet here I'll pass around. Ann, you're on the top. Would you sign this, please? So, are there any additions or changes to the agenda while this signing is going on? Does anyone have anything they want to add or change?
Looked good to me.
Okay, I have one addition. I want to add a discussion for survey questions to be included with the mailing of property tax bills later this year, but that'll take some work as far as putting all of this together. I would like to move this to item number 9, so it'll be behind Kevin's presentation.
Kyle.
I'm sorry, Kyle. I don't know if that needs a motion. I don't think so. We'll leave this for Jay to sign. So, would somebody make a motion to approve the minutes from our March 10th meeting?
I move to approve the minutes for the March 10th meeting.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Okay, Kyle, not
Okay.
Kevin.
That's right. Kyle, I'm here.
Kyle's going to lead us through a review of the town plan.
Yeah, a few chapters of them. Just looking to see if I can share my screen. I can. Okay. Let's see. It doesn't look like I had expected this would be working.
Oh, no.
This isn't, as long as you all have copies of the chapters,
We
it's
do.
great.
Yeah.
I just came up with like a bullet point list of what we'd be covering, and you can see it on the screen, but it's very small. So I'll, essentially we'll be looking at, we'll be reviewing the introduction, transportation, and economic development chapters. I'll go over essentially the language that I've added, but this is more to get feedback from you all if there's additional language that should be included here. I think in terms of content, this meeting will be a little bit lighter And when we get into utilities and facilities in those chapters, there'll be some heavier content. So I don't expect the review of these chapters to take too much time. Then we'll want to start discussing the first public forum and a potential date for that, and really just what that entails. And then, I'll open up to questions or comments, although there's plenty of time as we're discussing the chapters to ask questions and provide comments then as well. And then schedule the next meeting. So with that said, we'll take a look we'll start with the introduction. Fairly straightforward. I think I just added the word policies in there. I'm pretty sure that's the only change I made. This is a very streamlined chapter. It doesn't require a ton of attention. But if you all have questions or comments on additional language, we can add it in. If not, we can continue and look at transportation.
So just to be clear, on the policy we're looking at now, this is not to get too specific, as I recall, but more guidelines, recommendations on directions to go and such.
In general, there are areas where you may want to be more specific. Well, as an example, for our purposes when reviewing town plans so that they can just evaluate whether they conform with the regional plan, we look at whether there's policy language that
I forgot my hearing aids.
that prohibits principal retail outside of village centers. So you would have policy language that says, the only areas suitable for principal retail shall be the village center, or principal retail shall not be located in the rural residential area. It's like a policy. So that would be an example of where you'd use more very clear language, shall or must, versus more, in general, you're correct though, the policy language would be more guidance-based. It would be more of that. Okay. We encourage or we promote, and I'm sure you saw some of that in the economic development chapter.
Should.
As opposed to.
Okay.
That's pretty universal.
So we'll take a look at the transportation chapter. You can see that, obviously the roads haven't changed all that much. There's a slight change in the class 4. So I made a correction for that since the previous update.
What was 2?
Oh, I'm not entirely sure. I just looked at the most recent VTrans map and took the numbers that they used. Because they periodically publish, I don't know if it's every 4 or 5 years, but they'll periodically update the maps for each town. And the language looked, for the most part, good. In the middle of page 2, I think it's important to be a little more specific in highlighting some projects that have maybe been completed, transportation related, or are pending. And so often these are, better back roads or grants and aid projects. I could only come up with one, just, bouncing ideas off of people and asking, but it could be, I wonder if circling around with Jay on additional projects that are pending would be the way to go. Okay, I'll make a note then. But if any of you know of projects that are pending or under consideration, I feel like there were a few flood-related, like infrastructure projects percolating.
There are some bridges yet.
Is it like Dublin Hill Road or?
Haley Road, which is just south of us here on the right. Jeff Saylor is going to be replacing that bridge this year, though, this spring. So is that something that's happening so
We could say
near?
it's ongoing, you know, if it's something that will be
something
taking
we could add
place.
to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the name of the bridge?
Fairly.
It's P-A-I-L-L-E is the name of the road. And it's the bridge that connects Route 100 to that road.
Okay.
P-A-I-L-L-E, yeah.
What's the funding source for that?
I need to find out for you. Jay
Okay,
would know,
that'll be-
but
yeah.
I don't know.
That'll be helpful.
Let me make a note here. And
Does-
there might be another also, I just don't know what it is. If he
Okay.
comes in, we can come back.
Yeah, we can ambush Jay.
Would the plan make note of normal maintenance that might be done, such as cleaning out the gutters alongside roads, especially on the dirt roads here and there throughout town? Or is that just normal maintenance? And
That
might-
should be, I wonder if that would be within the policy language covered more broadly.
yeah, maybe just, to provide for ongoing maintenance needs.
Mhm.
Do you include state projects in that? Because there are 3 major state
Yeah.
bridge projects coming up.
Route 100, there's two.
And these would be like
100,
state
8,
funded.
and then 2, there's Moneybrook, and then there's down right by the Bridgewater line.
Yeah.
What, 100A?
State,
No, on 100.
100, yeah.
compared to-
Something on 100A, but I don't know exactly.
100A was
This
done
is more
last
along the
year.
lines
Two,
of like
maybe.
Town.
was the
town
one-
capital
was 2 on
planning.
100.
Right. Okay, so it's
Just up
We'll do
north
more of it in the
Murkowski's.
utilities and facilities
started
chapter.
clearing woods there.
I
Do you
thought it would be
think
more
that clearing
convenient
has
to
something to do with
have the
bridge work,
transportation
or is
relate
that more in line with opening
projects
up
in
along
in
the
transportation.
streams to allow them to
That would be
get to
perfect.
Yeah. We can get
It's
those
probably both,
'cause-
probably one big project.
Bridges
could be,
and
yeah.
road repairs, and I know there's.
Because I've been
just that.
looking, I go by there
Mhm.
every day, and
Yeah.
boy, they really went up.
But
quite
yeah,
a
it's
way.
more
Probably
geared
gonna
toward
although they did a
local
lot of work there.
projects.
Okay.
Maybe so. I was hoping maybe they were getting ready to put in a temporary bridge,
Coming.
but they're not doing that.
Okay.
The other area where I've added additional languages for bus service. Essentially, the language previously was no public transportation by bus, bus service in nearby Bridgewater, and then it cut off. So I wonder if there was supposed to be more language there and it never got added in.
Bus service.
But there is bus service from the mover. It goes up into Ludlow. So you'd kind of have to get down to Ludlow. But my understanding is they do individualized pickups as well in
Yeah.
Plymouth. So it's almost like dial a ride
Yes.
where, but you know, they don't have a route that goes through.
There's a bus from Rutland to Killington, but I don't know how far, if it just turns up Killington Road.
I think that's it.
That's at the end of it.
Mhm. And yeah, this one's geared more toward between Ludlow and Bellows Falls. But it's something we want to mention along with just other public transportation options in the region or near the region, like the Dartmouth Coach and the Greyhound Terminal.
Yeah.
We don't have Uber service, do we?
I've not seen that, no. But when you do, take a photo of it for me. There'll be
I get
evidence.
asked that question a lot. Other people, yeah.
I imagine a lot of people come here for the
There
weekend.
are drivers.
Especially a lot of the workers
I'll
that
ask Angela.
from South America, from Okemo, they're looking for
Pretty
ways
high-end,
around.
Oh, is
They
that
don't
right?
have cars.
Yeah.
Might be a good business for somebody.
Yeah, my Airbnb people ask for it.
Yeah,
Okay, if there are other
Protect an
options, yeah.
There are
opportunity.
drivers, I don't know if they would want their name put in the town plan or not, but
We don't have to be specific,
Because that
but
does
if
stop
there's
the,
like a taxi
course
service, like private taxi service, we
Yeah.
can mention that people rely on like a,
takes you to their
on a
restaurant.
private taxi for transportation occasionally.
I see it on
And
Facebook.
we don't have to go into detail.
All right, I'll find out about that.
Mhm. But yeah, that would be an additional, if that's the case, we want to put in. And yeah, we can be very general about it.
We could have rafts.
And then I just read on page, what page is this? This is the third page.
Go
So right
pretty quickly,
before
yeah.
the goals and the
Yeah.
policies, I essentially just rephrase that sentence to make it cleaner.
Under the summary, yeah.
Yeah. And now we get to goals, policies, and recommendations. This is where if any of you saw any changes to those, I read through them and they seemed fine for the most part, but if there are additional policies that you think are important that are not addressed, we can add those in as well.
On the goals, number one, to improve the quality of Plymouth's transportation and road systems, et cetera. What does that mean, really, for us in Plymouth? What kind of improvements are?
This is
does
something
this
that you're always
envision?
doing. You know, you're doing ditching projects, road grading, it gets to that maintenance question of just trying to keep things operating. Because
Well,
if you don't
wouldn't
maintain,
maintain-
they degrade and they become
Maintain the
impassable.
quality, perhaps.
Or to improve and maintain,
To maintain and improve,
to maintain and improve, okay.
where possible.
Okay.
I notice also down at number 7, it just raised a question with me that the state of Vermont determines speed limits. Is that on secondary roads also, or is that just the state road?
I believe it's on secondary, it wouldn't be private roads, but I think it would be
But it would be class 2?
through class 3,
3?
probably, yeah.
Really?
I'm not entirely familiar, not a transportation planner, but I can certainly ask Rita.
Yeah, I might want to say the state of Vermont,
Bridgewater
speed
voted to
limits on
change
state
their
roads.
speed limit going through Bridgewater, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that
they
was a
did.
town doing it, and I thought Rick Kaminsky had said something at one point about speed limit signs.
Right.
And he said something about it, they couldn't be lower than 30 miles an hour.
Uh-huh.
And we were talking about Kingdom Road at the time, you know, those switchbacks. Yes?
Did you
I
have
was
something
thinking of
in?
25 on ours, but I'll double check. It's been too long since I really looked at it. One got whacked by a snowplow, so it's flat. I
It's
don't
a common
know.
occurrence in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised
Yeah,
that
I'm
the
not
state
sure.
would determine speed limits within a town, you know? They're not here.
And
Yeah,
that may not be the
30.
case, I have to double check on
All right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
The only downside is you could see some, where you get, 70 miles per hour on a dirt road. But, okay, well, I made a note of that one.
I guess number 6 sounds good, but does it mean anything?
Energy transfer.
Minimize
Oh, no.
transportation energy consumption.
I just realized, and I have my screen sharing, and I'm still sharing that other screen. So let me switch.
I haven't a clue what that
There we
means
go.
other than what,
Okay.
batteries?
I don't know what it means. And I only say that because somebody may ask us, what do you mean by that?
Which policy?
Number 6,
Is this the goal or the
to
policy?
minimize transportation energy consumption. I don't think we really
What
have
do we
much.
do along those lines? What do you envision?
Go to charging
That's
station. yeah.
generally encouraging development closer to main roads, because then you're relying less on more development sprawling out into the hinterland where you have more roads that you have to cover and maintain and keep up, versus keeping that transportation energy more compact. Then you may have less trips or shorter trips that you'd otherwise have to make. So it would reduce energy in that regard for transportation. The goals in general are quite, you go from goals, which are these more broad aspirational statements, to more specific policy language and even more specific recommendations.
And that takes us back to number 4, to encourage the Agency of Transportation to improve state highways 100, 100A, to create safer driving and recreational biking conditions. What does that mean?
That's something that the Plymouth Planning Commission had put in the last plan. I imagine it would be working with V-Trans to try and make those roads safer. But I don't know what that looks like in practice.
Could be widening the shoulders.
There was a major improvement when they paved 100. It used to be, all the broken road was on the place that the bikes would
Yeah.
ride on.
So
And then they widened it to about 2 or 3 feet, so
Of
they
more
did do a
pavement?
major, much safer now than it was
Okay,
before then.
so.
It is, yeah. I think one of the things that's sort of minimal, but one thing that we can do if we keep kind of that in is to ensure that they paint the lines frequently enough so that people can see them, and it helps the bike riders, lots of whom go around the triangle of 100, 100A and then down Route 4. So we've got bicyclists all the time. Yeah.
Okay, that would fall under a recommendation, essentially based on that goal of trying to make the 100 and 100A safer for
Okay.
recreational
Maybe a
bicycles.
sign would be nice, like,
Yeah, in
dump trucks.
terms of how much communication there was between Plymouth and the state on, the widening for bicyclists, I don't know, but
I don't know
it
if it was
it
there.
sounds like
I think
the
they just
goal
did
is-
good practice.
Right. You
know-
know, that's an improvement toward that goal, so.
Painting the lines, I've noticed here and where we lived in Connecticut, and I don't know why they do this. They wait and paint the lines in late fall, going into the winter. Then the plows and the sand and the salt wipe the lines out, so you end up going through spring and summer with no lines, or lines that you can hardly see, and in the winter you wouldn't be able to see them anyway. They need to start doing this in the spring rather than the fall.
I wonder if it's mainly because it's after they've done all of their repair work on the roads during the summer season, and so they're not likely to tear it up after they've painted it. That's just my hunch. Yeah, you maybe
I
paint
was-
it after.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I mean, they do have so many projects you watch done, and then they have to go dig up something and fix something else, so it
culvert or
makes
something.
sense to wait, but. Really.
Okay.
And in terms of policy language, in general, all the policies seem fine, just my read through. But if you have any questions, you want to see any changes to the policy language.
I do on number 12, the policy of the town not to give up any class 4 roads or trails. Is that firm enough language to make it into the ordinance? I don't know if that even goes in the ordinance. I don't think it does.
It wouldn't. It's more of my understanding is it's more of like a kind of a legal process that the select board goes through to either keep or discontinue a class 4. It wouldn't be a zoning process.
Is it saying that we don't do that? Because I believe the town actually voted on this. But we have had, people that wanted to have a road, they call it thrown up, which is a weird thing to call it, discontinued. And it didn't pass, but it does cause a lot of discussion in multiple meetings. And if it's the policy not to give up any, it seems to me that should stop the effort to give it up right there.
It goes back to number 5, too. It's a policy of the town that any changes to class 4 roads or trails be approved by townspeople. So that means a vote for any changes to them, and the changes would include, I would think, giving them up.
But this is an instance where something that's written in the town plan is not necessarily generally known. And there's no other place that it's.
Is it in our planning ordinance?
It's not in the zoning.
It's
The
not
zoning.
zoning.
And this is not a local regulatory document.
Yeah.
Unless, it's through Act 250 or Section 248, which don't have anything to do with Class 4 roads. So, it's more of it's more of a legal process, but the policy language doesn't really hold any regulatory standing there.
So basically, it can still happen, basically.
I think this is the only place it could be, though, is policy. This is what you would like. It's the policy of the town. Because they're not gonna make a strict ordinance that you can't give one up, because then you can't, if a need arose.
Okay.
I do see what you're saying with policy 5 and policy 12. You have changes are voted on by the town, but then policy 12 is saying, oh, don't give up any of these. So I can see where you've kind of got two different policies that go and discuss the same topic, but are maybe a little, there's a little friction there.
Is this
It's not
like
inherently bad.
the class 4 road that was off Hale Hollow a couple of years ago? They
Yeah.
wanted to
That's what I'm
throw
thinking
it up,
about.
so,
Yeah, it didn't pass.
What do you mean to
Because
throw it up?
it means to discontinue it.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
no longer listed as a class 4 road.
quite a term.
And it can't be used by recreationalists.
throw it up on the road.
Okay.
Class
Throw it
4
up.
road. And there's strong
Here they talk
feelings
about
in
give
the
it
town.
up.
They should not.
Apparently, the term used in the town is to
But
throw it
nobody
up.
knows that this is in
Interesting
here.
history.
You know, when I read it, I thought, wow. But there's nothing anywhere else, And if no one really realizes it, well, it's in our town plan that we don't do this.
Sounds like it should be in the zoning.
And some of this language is more, because the town plan is more, very much a guiding document. It's more these value decisions of, what do we value? Do we value these class 4 roads and keeping them for recreational purposes?
Yeah.
If so, then we put a policy to reflect that value.
So,
But it doesn't directly translate into regulations.
Okay.
For example, like the zoning, where the zoning must reflect the town plan. And so it can't, the town plan can't say one thing and the zoning says something else. And that's where you need to be broader with the language, or it's better to be broader with the language in the town plan around zoning, because you don't want to kind of put yourself in a bind when you go to write your zoning. But yeah, with a lot of this other language, it is more visionary and value-based.
Would it make sense to put that before, let's see, oh, I was trying to scroll your thing, it's on your screen, I'm scrolling, looking back at the paper. To put that one before the other one, so it's the policy of the town not to give up class 4 roads, and then to say something, or combine it with the other one. However,
yeah,
any change to class 4 roads or trails should be blah, blah. I mean, there might be a way to word that so that this one looks like it was thrown on the end instead of combined with the same thinking of the other one.
That sounds good.
It does look like the two are similar enough to where it could be combined.
and let's make it more important.
Okay,
Add 12 into 5.
yeah. What is it
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah,
If we say it's
12
a
and
policy
5.
for it to be approved by townspeople, does that mean, and we need to say what that means, does that mean a vote at town meeting, as a policy, or is that a meeting at a select board meeting, and whoever attends gets to say yes or no to it?
Well, it says the town residents,
So that
which to
means
me
a
implies
broader-
all the residents,
Yeah.
not a few who show up at a meeting.
Yeah,
So that would be a vote at the town meeting.
Or a special meeting.
this would be a
Or
good
special.
thing to put on
Yeah.
a survey.
You probably don't need to be real specific about it since it is a policy, not a regulation, but
Yeah.
to be clear that it's, somebody could argue, I think the wording is approved by townspeople, that since we're a representative form of government in a way, but not totally, because we're town meeting, that the select board could do it and that represents townspeople, but, however,
Should this be a survey question?
why not?
Make a note of that. We'll
Okay.
get to that survey business at some point.
Okay, I've done an initial combination of the two. And we can wordsmith as needed. But yeah, essentially, it is a policy of the town not to give up any class 4 roads or trails unless any changes to class 4 roads or trails be approved by townspeople. And we can wordsmith that as needed.
Which might be a little less restrictive, so, yeah, we should talk about that, but it's policy of the town not to give up any class 4 roads. and that any changes to class 4 roads or trails be approved by townspeople. The other one didn't say not to give up trails, but anyway.
Yeah, it seems like all of that should be combined and worded appropriately to spill all the thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a comment.
So tell me what you're ending up with,
Okay.
Kyle.
Well, I mean, this can change. I was more putting the text in. I'm sure content-wise, it's fine, but it's more of a placeholder.
Yeah.
And with a comment saying, consider language. And then I put in, is the policy of the town not to give up any class 4 roads or trails, and any changes to class 4 roads or trails be approved by townspeople. We need another verb in there. Like shall or must or should. I'll put should in for now. Okay. Additional.
You don't have to make any final decision on this now.
No, this is just the initial review.
Yeah.
Once we've gone through the entire plan, we'll have the full track changes version and a clean version.
Yep.
And then, so there are multiple times at which you're looking at this. But the only eventual action, aside from the public hearing, is, moving, like approving the draft and sending it to the select board.
Yeah. Okay. So we moving into standards?
Yeah, standards are funny.
If so, I had a question on number 1.
Okay.
Road improvements, it sounds like it almost sounds as if you're restricting road improvements to those that lead into areas where you want to encourage development. And I think this might leave people living out in the boonies here and there on dirt roads thinking, does that mean you're not going to maintain our road?
It does sound that way. It does sound that way.
But it says road improvements, not road maintenance.
Well, you're right, it does.
So,
It does. But if you have
You
a
could
road
say
that's,
significant road improvements,
Like
that would kind of,
yeah, paving is a big deal. But
Well,
improvements such
yeah.
as changing drainage patterns or grading differently, things of that nature to improve how the road sheds water or takes care of itself through
right,
bad
you don't know what's
weather.
gonna happen with a flood, and maybe there has to be an improvement down the road.
Yeah, that kind of an improvement goes one step beyond just fixing where it's torn up to anticipating what might happen and, short of paving it, at least do something to ameliorate, if that's the right word.
Well, like put in a culvert or something like that.
Yeah, provide for better drainage.
But then we say by keeping remote areas less conveniently accessed.
And there again,
That's, I guess if I'm living on the end of that street, I might, maybe they want it.
wait a minute.
They may-
well, I live on the end of
Right, you do.
unpaved road, and I wouldn't want it to be more convenient for people to cruise around up here.
That's what I'm saying, some people may
But
want
the
that.
road has been well maintained and repaired after floods, otherwise I wouldn't have gotten out after Irene or the last, what, 2022?
23.
So,
The
yeah,
last,
I think it's fine, because most people who live out in these kind of places don't. I remember we had some conversation about paving part of this road once, years ago, and people were just having fits.
but you know, Ann, the last
Mm.
flooding, if you remember how badly your road was washed out, if they came up with a plan to improve drainage, changing the culverts, perhaps something like that, that would be a good thing. It wouldn't change.
Absolutely,
It wouldn't change how things looked, certainly not paving.
sure. And ours
But that
washed
would
out
be a
as
road
badly.
improvement.
Yeah, it didn't wash out as badly after the last, well, actually, the last one, it didn't. The one before it washed out some, and Irene, it was a disaster.
Yeah, that.
And only because Spike Lines lives next to me were we fixed to be able to get in and out at all. So, yeah,
What about just saying, where the town desires to encourage development or maintain existing development?
Or maintain existing development.
yep,
Because then you're accounting for what's already there. The only kind of other thing that comes to mind with this is it could be like more of an offhand reference to class 4 roads and
I think this
Maybe
is an
questions
instance where
to-
the more vague you are, the better. For instance, road improvements shall be conducted where it's deemed necessary.
well, that could be anywhere.
Exactly.
yeah. And depending on who's deciding
If
what's
it's deemed
necessary.
necessary.
I have may not be a standard, it may be a goal, but when roads are and culverts are repaired after flooding, there should be a goal to improve, not, and I still go back to the Ludlow train, that washout under the train tracks, where is that by there?
Yeah,
They put the same size
yep, up
pipe
by
in.
Jackson Gore.
It's like, what were they?
Oh, the other
What are they
one.
thinking? Well, I know it was FEMA says you can't improve it, but to me, that's absolute ridiculous thinking. Yet, when they did Tyson's, they improved it when they prepared that, which is what we want to do, and I think along 100A, they improved it too. So I think
Yeah.
it should be it's probably not a standard because it depends on who's paying for it, I guess, but it should be a goal that whenever we repair flood damage, we should try to improve it, to make it more resilient rather than just put in the same thing that was there before.
If a 24-inch pipe failed, put in a 36
pipe,
or a
exactly.
48.
Right.
I think that is the standard though, where if V-Trans has a certain standard for upsizing culverts, then FEMA can match that standard.
But those are state
It-
roads. I'm just thinking of the town
Okay.
roads. I don't think we have anything
I don't
to
know
stay
if
over.
if it would change that standard though for, upsizing culverts if it's going through a FEMA grant. Maybe it does, but, I have heard that issue come up before of, replacing in kind, which doesn't make sense. Like if it blew out.
It failed.
Yeah.
Why replace it?
But I do think like they can upsize to an extent, but I think
I'm
it's
just thinking
somehow
as
tied
as
to.
a goal, maybe not a standard, but as a goal or a policy, we should try to encourage improvements rather than building the thing that just failed.
There could be language on that. I don't recall, but there could be some language on that in the flood resilience section.
Didn't Einstein say the definition of insanity is doing the
Same
same
thing
thing,
over
but
and over again.
expecting different results?
Right, exactly.
That was what FEMA wanted people to do. If on that number one, it said, it's redundant, road improvements to local roads. So if you said just something like, substantial improvements to local roads shall only be made by, however, but get rid of one of those road words.
Oh, okay.
Not well written,
Maybe
yeah.
the first
So if it
one.
just said improvements or
Improvements to
substantial
local roads.
improvements, if it said substantial improvements to local roads, then you have to debate what improvements means, but that's, you know.
We could just keep
Significant improvements to
improvements.
local roads shall only be conducted
Mm-hmm.
where,
Yeah,
in areas where the town, right, there's 3 roads at the top,
yeah,
first sentence.
yeah. You're right, right. We're on
So
those
significant
leading
improvements
to-
shall only be
Mhm.
conducted
Where necessary.
Are
in
we- are we
areas where the
getting
town
into this
desires
too
to encourage
deeply right
development.
now?
That would have to say significant road improvements.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
whatever.
how impactful the language will be on the ground, because it's not, you know, within the you know, town road and bridge standards, or maybe, maybe it's referenced. But, yeah, we don't have to, you know, dig into it
Yeah. Okay,
biblically.
we'll be here all night if we
might
were
be-
stickers.
Yeah.
What is a curb cut?
That's,
It's a
it's
driveway.
where you connect to the main
Oh,
road
where-
from, like a driveway or any other access. And the idea about limiting those is you're essentially limiting all of those nexus points where you'd be having those traffic merging.
Okay.
It's kind of like the chaos in West Leb is curb cuts unhinged.
You don't want people having driveways every 20 feet.
Right, it's just an
Unless they
excessive
have
amount of
stop
driveway,
signs.
and it's also,
Yeah, it could be for a handicap chair,
Traffic lights.
what curb cut is used for.
You have to have a curb to have a curb cut.
Yes.
but yeah, it can lead to a lot more congestion the more curb cuts you have with access points. Okay, and then if we go down to recommendations, I don't know if you want to modify or change any of these. The only one that's a little strange is 3. Revisit and tighten access management policies and standards in the Plymouth zoning regulations according to authority granted under Title 19, 1111.
Recommendation 3.
That's not in zoning. That's a separate, that's your access permit, and that's outside of zoning. So
Okay,
we may just want to remove the zoning language and just say management policies and standards according to authority granted under Title 19, 1111. Because there are driveway standards in zoning, but that's different from the access permit standards from Title 19.
it is,
Yeah, the access permit's just for that connection
okay.
with the town road, and the driveway is everything else up to the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at number 4, encourage all recreational use. So is that talking about like ATVs and snowmobiles?
That's,
Yeah, that's a good question.
Softball games.
So I like that, I have a snowmobile and an ATV.
yeah, I was thinking of, yeah.
That's a good question, yeah. It is a should, so
Dirt
it's
bike,
not
mini
a,
bikes.
you know, a baked in, but
Inline
It's a
skaters
place
on
that
Route
you
100.
can look to modify the language if you want to.
Or down your hill. People sledding down your hill.
When
On
today?
number
No, your
5,
road.
Oh, yeah.
that implies that there are standards somewhere for line of sight requirements for driveway permits. And where are they? Are they in our zoning? I don't recall ever seeing anything for line of sight.
Typically, I think line of sight would be for getting that access permit.
Well, I know
Usually
what
you
it-
have your local road standards they're not within zoning.
Okay,
And in different towns, it's called different things. So I don't know what they're called in Plymouth, but typically within that, I think is where you'd find the access standards.
so that's,
The access permit.
okay.
I don't have access to the office, but I
Right.
can get that and see what the language says.
But it does address it then, you
I
think?
don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's an important thing. I'm thinking of one in particular up on Route 100 that we looked at a couple of years ago for conditional use. And getting out of the driveway did not have, in my opinion, adequate line of sight in the northern direction. But I didn't see any way around it either.
That's a state highway.
I
and
know.
The state determines the access. But we
Well,
don't have-
I know, I understand that, but I mean, it's just a for instance of line of sight.
I'll get an access permit just
Okay,
so you can see what
Yeah.
it says. I don't-
And see what documents it references to.
Okay.
Because that might be where, you know, the language that they're relying on when they're looking at granting that access
Okay.
permit, or issuing the access permit.
and I would think line of sight distances would increase relative to speed limit. You know, if it's 25 miles an hour, it doesn't have to be 500 feet.
Yeah, I have seen occasionally line of sight language in zoning. That really would only come up if you've got like, I think something going through conditional use, but even then, it's not as easily applicable as when you're getting that access permit and the road foreman goes and does all of that on the ground work versus getting a committee to go out and you know, measure that line of sight or verify that. So I think it's most often addressed in those access permits.
It's not always practical anyway. I mean, if it were flat land and it were a tree or two, you could cut it down. But if it were a steep curve in a road or a mountain, you're not gonna bulldoze. Oh, well, this is gonna take all night.
Okay.
Or if you have a passing section that I
The
have.
let's move to economic development. And here we've mainly just updated the data for it. So you'll see I've swapped out the old charts and have used the new American Community Survey data for the charts that were in here before. So occupations by industry in Plymouth. Hasn't changed all that much, and honestly, because it's such a small population size, and it's from a survey, it's not a census, like every person being accounted for, it's a sampling.
This graph makes us look like big time.
Yeah, well, it gets difficult but you use the best available data. And so this is what we rely on. Because we don't have fine-grained census-level data for most of our data sets.
What would be interesting is, you know, Vermont had the most migration of any state per population. And it'd be interesting to see what areas or what towns that lost their population the most.
Yeah, I mean,
Just out of
statewide, it
curiosity,
would be, and it'd probably be some of the more rural towns is my hunch, but, because we are, I think in the most recent, population data set that we have, it's showing Vermont's population has declined in the last,
Yeah, I read
year
it
or
a couple
two.
places, it was the most in the country, as proportion of the population,
Percentage-wise, yeah.
percentage-wise.
yeah.
So,
That
so
wouldn't
it'd also
surprise me.
be interesting, you know, I don't see it in here and I don't have an answer, but how to stop that? You know, how to bring more people back, and probably reducing property taxes, but,
That's the catch-22, you know. The property taxes go up, driving people out, which drives property taxes up higher,
right,
because there's less people paying them.
that's what's happening.
But these are residents, right? Homesteaders, not second homes.
This is just, yeah, this is
Occupation.
just people living and working in Plymouth. And the
Biggest
breakdown
number
of
is in here,
occupations.
retired.
What's that?
The biggest number isn't shown here, retired.
It could be,
You're not in there,
yeah,
Frank.
very, very true.
In the
Is
other
that an
half.
occupation now?
Well, because, yeah, it's only a percentage of the population that's, you know, maybe working full-time.
Right.
And
No,
that number changes.
That might show, I don't know if that makes a message to show that the 20% of the town is retired or 30%.
So say there's 500 people in town. 26.4% of 500
It's
is,
125. Not large numbers.
no.
No, and that's where we can't rely on the data too heavily because it's such a small pool. And because it comes from a sampling, you're going to have a high margin of error. But it does give a sense of, okay, we've got people working in services, healthcare, entertainment, recreation, you know, maybe in administrative capacities.
But they're not working in Plymouth.
No, highly likely they're working elsewhere. You know, they're
Yeah.
probably commuting to larger
You
towns.
can't have 125 people working in food services, arts and entertainment in Plymouth.
They're all-
No,
commuters.
they're most likely, yeah, commuting to maybe Rutland or
Yeah.
the Upper Valley.
Plymouth does not serve as a major economic hub for employment or
We
service.
don't? We don't?
And yeah, and the chapter gets to that, you know, working in Ludlow, Woodstock, or other areas. And
Well, people may work from home.
what's that?
There could be a large work from home contingency.
That's, yeah. Is there fiber optic in most of town?
This high-speed internet, I don't know if it's fiber, there is fiber optics. Yeah. VTEL has fiber optics and
Okay.
Comcast has cable.
Okay. So yeah, if most people, even in more
It's not
remote
major
areas, have access to high-speed
Yeah.
internet, then it opens up the possibility
Since
for work
COVID.
from home.
It's been a big change.
I will say, I had started working from home in the late 90s when I had DSL up at the end of my road. My sister in Reston, Virginia didn't have it yet. So, you know, it's sort of hit or miss, but yeah, I think working from home is a big deal.
And that gets to one of the questions about how do we make areas in Vermont more economically attractive to people? Like how can we grow the economy without, you know, tripling or quadrupling the population in Plymouth? And you know, one of those avenues is probably having that flexibility to work remotely.
I don't know the answer, but I mean, we have great internet on 100. How is it on Hell Hollow Road? Or,
It's good.
is it?
It's all good. I mean, if you
So
have
we have
retail, you have good internet. As it was
I-
being developed, there were roads where if more and more people started using it between you and the main line, yours would slow down a bit.
Right, yeah.
But I think they're past that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a big plus.
Yeah. Take it for
I've had
granted.
fiber optic up here since 2014, or little later, because that's when they put stuff in, but didn't hook it up till later, so. Back,
And we-
anyway,
we
2017 at
mentioned-
least.
Later on, I don't want to skip ahead, but we do, because one of
Yeah.
the state, one of the state planning goals for, is focused on looking at maintaining, economic prosperity for residents across the spectrum. And so I added language later on, kind of highlighting how are ways that the economy in Plymouth can grow, and kind of make the ability to work and live in Plymouth more viable for people. And so that, the language around telecommunications, high-speed internet's covered there. We do, I did update chart 2, the median household income. You see that Plymouth is a little kind of above the median for all the surrounding towns. So it has a fairly high household income for Vermont, generally.
Oh, they're killing it.
But that's just an update from the previous chart that was there. And then we have the mean earnings in dollars for full-time year-round workers. And that's a comparison over time between Plymouth and Vermont. And it just shows where Plymouth compares with Vermont as a whole on this specific measure. And you can see that over time it has crept up to be closer, almost level with Vermont in recent years. So 2022, 2024 were pretty, almost even.
On that second page in the second paragraph, I had a question with regards to the town's commercial enterprises, and it lists Hawken and Mountain Resort. Is it still a commercial enterprise?
It's sort of in the ether. Nobody knows what
Yeah.
it is right now.
Oh, it's a mystery.
And
Yes,
on page 2, what do you think about the paragraph that includes Hawken and Mountain Resort as commercial
Yeah.
enterprise?
I was gonna ask about that. What is we should certainly look into what the status of that is, or might be. So,
It has the potential of becoming that again, but as it stands,
No,
it's nothing.
yeah,
It's lacking funds to do anything. And it's up for sale again.
is it really?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It doesn't hurt to keep in.
Who knows,
So-
it might change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's presumably still, the structures are still there, so
Yeah,
Might incentivize somebody to buy it.
quite possibly. There, I did remember, so I made a comment, just as a note in here, around Tyson. because it's something we might want to circle back to. This chapter references it as a hamlet. Now, in our regional future land use mapping process, we've made Tyson as a small village center.
Village, yeah.
And so we may want to look at modifying that language.
Yeah, hamlet doesn't have an official definition, usage. Should be village.
Yeah, it's
Well,
my.
Town center.
I think in the land use chapter, it's still called a hamlet. So we may want to, when we get to that chapter, if we do change that designation to village, then we'll come back here and change it here. That's why I left that comment.
Would you say village center?
That's how we refer to it, I think, in the
It
zoning.
has that designation.
Tyson.
Tyson.
Yeah.
Village center.
Yeah, and I can't recall if it is a hamlet, it will just be signified on the future land use map by a point. If that's the case, then, and we want it to be a village center, then we can give it boundaries based on the boundaries from the future land use map for the regional plan. So, but we'll get to that when we look at the land use chapter. And then I mentioned this paragraph right above the heading future economic development. This is a paragraph I added in about increasing per capita incomes and maintaining low unemployment. Plymouth already has generally low unemployment, but ways that the town can help keep unemployment low and keep incomes high. That helps to meet that. I think it's state planning goal number 2.
Tax the rich and feed the poor.
And then under future economic development in the village designation, I've just added some explanatory language on the new mapping process for designated village centers. It's part of that broader future land use mapping process with the regional plan, so.
So will that language change based on the new land map? Or is that the language it's going to insert that you propose?
The red language
Yeah.
under village designation is essentially, based on Act 181 and the new regional future land use mapping process that we go through. It's combined that future land use area with that village center designation. Which,
Kyle, is Act 181 written in stone at this point, or are they still debating it because of the issues that have come up since it's been put out there?
there's currently a bill going through the House, S-325, and that is looking at making some changes to, it's essentially extending a lot of the deadlines for some of the rulemaking processes for Tier 3 and the road rule, but it's also extending the exemptions, interim exemptions for new housing projects or housing developments in certain areas. And so it's extending a lot of this work, and then just cleaning up some of the language in statute to make it clearer. That was part of Act 181 when it was enacted in 2024. That, to my knowledge, is kind of what's moving through. So. But yeah, with the with the center designations, those generally were these very small specific areas, and largely they're getting bigger because we're trying to accommodate the housing targets. Sounds like Plymouth might meet there.
Yeah.
You're well on your way.
Yeah.
Um,
18 is pretty good.
So instead of having multiple boundary areas that serve different purposes, the village center is serving that designation purpose, but also a purpose for additional retail or commercial within that village, and additional housing as well. And that leads us to the goals, policies, and recommendations. I didn't see a ton in here. I mean, no, policy 6, I just revised the language there because to make it more present continuous, like it's ongoing. And then policy 11, I just kind of put some of that into policy 6 and then recommendation 5. So it's not taken out, it was just shifted around because a little of it felt more like an action. Like, we might do this through high-speed telecommunications. Okay, that's very specific. Maybe have that as a recommendation. Any questions or comments on goals, policies, and recommendations?
On the recommendations, I spoke to Jay this afternoon. Our select board does have a capital budget.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Is it adopted?
I don't know that.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Because I can put in,
Is it adopted?
because the last line in the narrative of this chapter says Plymouth does not have a capital budget. So this is good to know. And we can at least correct that, yeah.
If it's not adopted, what do they need to do to make, because obviously, is that something it has to be adopted by the select board?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be, I'm trying to think of, the hearing process for a capital budget is slightly different from what you do for a town plan or zoning. There's, I think, just one hearing at the select board,
I wonder if that isn't.
and then the select board can adopt it
Okay,
afterward.
it might be, I don't know.
It could be.
Yeah, let
Budget
me
for
know
bridge
on
building, I
like
guess,
where,
road
like
maintenance.
the status of it,
Yeah,
Yes.
and because even if it's in the works, that's something we can put in the narrative.
they've been working off of as
In
far
the,
as planning for,
Okay.
infrastructure improvements.
Okay, and that would be helpful as well for the utilities and facilities chapter, if I could get that.
In the budget, the town budget that was voted on?
No, it's
But-
a capital budget, it's a long range, like 5-year,
Well,
Budget.
what I'm getting at is, when they brought up putting money aside on an annual basis for such and for
For the fire truck.
emergency management,
Yeah.
Emergency
and then for
management, yeah.
the purchasing of truck, doesn't that become part of a town budget?
it is part of the town budget, the town voted for it. But the capital budget,
That's not part of
Well,
capital fund?
I don't think bridges and culverts are under capital, maybe they are.
They're under capital improvements typically,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Because they're big enough where you'd want to kind of allocate maybe a reserve fund for
Right, yeah.
that infrastructure.
Basically, just to give you an example of what we're talking about now, is the mention of adding a salt shed,
Mm-hmm.
adding on to this building
Right,
right
yeah.
here. That's part of, that would be in the capital budget.
Mhm.
This building renovation was in the capital budget.
So they're basically capital improvements that you're budgeting for.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Yeah, things that wouldn't necessarily fall in your general operating budget because that's just your
Yeah.
maintenance,
Mhm.
yearly things that you do. This is, okay, what do we have to plan for 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? Like, is the roof going to cave in unless we do something about it? And when do we have to do that? And how much will it cost? Because if you get 5 years down the road and you haven't saved anything for that, it may not happen. But you're referencing number four.
Yeah.
Okay, so depending on if there's a capital budget and it's adopted, that may, number four, we may not, we may want to just revise.
Yeah, yeah.
To say, to talk about maintaining the capital budget,
Yes.
you know, and updating it as needed. But I'll wait for confirmation on the status of the capital budget. Okay. Additional questions or comments? But we made good use of time. We got through all three. And then we don't have to discuss at length on the public forum, but we need to hold two. My thought process for the initial public forum is it would be more of a high-level overview of what is town planning, why do we do it, what are some ways that town plan is used, and just because it'll be more of a primer for folks who may come in thinking, oh, is this regulation? No, like just kind of at the most basic fundamental level, like this is essentially what the town plan is. And so it might be a lot of the information you all might be very well versed in, but this will be more geared for folks that don't have any background in
This
local
whole
planning
process
processes.
that we're in right now for the new town plan is it's basically a 2-year process.
Mhm.
So as far as holding a public meeting, hearing, what have you, seems to me we wouldn't want to do that too quickly. I think we would want to get through a lot of this ourselves so that we're all more comfortable with the direction and changes that might be coming our way, or so that holding a meeting, we'd be able to discuss it more intelligently,
Mhm.
you know, coming from a better base.
So the public forum is a little different from it's not the public hearing.
Okay.
And within the scope of work, we have two marked out. And usually, you know, I've either had in other municipal planning grants, there's either been one public forum or two. If there's one, I would typically hold it as like a dress rehearsal for the hearing. So you get through the town plan update, you have a draft, you hold a public forum, you have a document you can show people. It would be weird, or I don't know, you could do it twice before a public hearing, but it would seem redundant. And that's where my idea was to maybe hold come learn about what the town plan is. And not as an introduction, and not necessarily go into detail on, you know, the draft that we're working on, but more on why do we have town plans in Vermont? And what is this, process like? Do we have to update the thing? What does it mean for regulations? What does it mean for Act 250? Does it impact your life at all? Probably not. So much more of a high-level introduction. But that said, we could wait and hold the public forums later in the process.
I'm trying to envision how it might go, and I think there would be a certain number of people coming to a presentation such as that, anticipating more rules and regulations, and they might not be sitting there open to a nice, calm discussion on just a direction we're thinking of. I don't know. That's why I think, the more we know, the better off we will be in a situation like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think when we do the invite or whatever we want to call it, is maybe put in a sentence that, this is only to get feedback, or this is this information, or, something to alleviate that before it happens, any
If people
complaints.
will read that.
Yeah, just something user-friendly. We'll put out.
Yeah.
Well, and it could be prefaced as well, we're at the very beginning of generally a 2-year process of updating the town plan. So we can have drafts, or we can have copies of the current town plan
But the
available.
existing town plan, if everybody had that, and we said, we're looking at this to make updates, improvements, to meet current regulations perhaps, but nothing drastic.
To make your life easier.
Yeah.
Well, having the red line strikeout version is very helpful.
You
because
think?
You could focus on the changes. And you don't have somebody talking about something that's been voted on 10 times earlier.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Except, not everybody was here. So it's not like running through a process that people are familiar with because they were there before. We have a lot of new property owners, new residents, people who may have interest in it for reasons they didn't before. So I think Kyle's right about having a session where it really explains why we do this, what we're doing, and get people in the mindset that we're not in the business right now creating rules and regulations that are going to restrict how they use their land
And
Well, that's
explain
the
the
big
di-
fear.
necessarily.
And explain the difference between zoning laws and the town plan.
Exactly.
Totally different. Well,
Yep.
one follows the other.
And
That's
we've already
where-
gotten that one done, so it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that's where this would just be more of a high-level introduction, not getting into the specifics of what we've done so far. If folks ask, we can say, well, we've covered a few of the chapters, but we're still early on in the process because we really haven't, there's not a full draft yet. We've done
Right.
several chapters.
And wanting to be open and transparent and not secretive and seeking other people's input. I think that was one of the things that people worried about last time and why they wanted to vote on it.
I do also wonder if that would be a good opportunity to get kind of folks thinking about survey too. Because I don't know if the survey questions would be ready when we hold the forum, but it could be an idea, something worth mentioning as well, assuming people do go to the public forum. Usually it's not very high turnout.
No.
Right.
I think you have a good point about the survey because they may be questions that come up that we disagree with the public, we agree with the public, or there's some question as to, is that really important? And we may actually develop a list of questions based on comments from the populace.
If anyone were to come.
And,
I'm assuming they,
you know, the off chance someone does their homework, reads the whole plan, and has comments on specific sections or you know, policy language, that could also be helpful.
right.
You know, because we're not going to have a ton of information that we can share because we're so early on. But it would be helpful to provide this introductory framework and then be
See
able to
what
get
people
some
are concerned
feedback.
about.
Right. And that's where I was thinking, well, if we have to do these 2 public forums, maybe one early on and then one toward the end where we have the draft and people can comment on it. And it's a good way a relatively low stress way to have kind of that public hearing type environment, but you don't have to warn it as a public hearing and what have you.
Are there ever low-stress public hearings?
I attend plenty of them. No, but you go to enough public hearings and it just. When were you thinking, when would the survey be mailed out?
I spoke to Angela, the tax bills will go out in July. She said she would have to have the survey by July 1st to be able to include it in the mailing. But that raised the question, because I read the surveys that you sent, and it's asking for, well, the Plymouth survey said that they included an envelope return stamp, and I'm thinking this is going to cost a lot of money to do it this way.
Yeah.
Plus, it's going to add to the cost of mailing the tax bills because of the weight. So I'm not sure
I
how we should
thought
do this.
if we just included it with the tax bill, asking them to fill it out and drop it off at the town office, rather than giving them a stamped envelope. Stamps are expensive, and you're probably gonna get 5% sent back, if that.
Peel off the stamp.
But ask them to just drop it off and give them a couple options on where to drop it off, maybe. But,
Or send
but
in
here,
with
Oh, we have a
tax
box
payment.
there. They could-
or send it back with your tax payment.
Yeah.
Does that box out there have a place to put, could,
I believe it does.
that has a
yeah.
door like a
I
mailbox?
believe it does.
Well, we can figure that out, but I don't think you want to
wouldn't
spend a
know.
lot of money on envelopes and stamps.
Could we maybe look at the June meeting,
What's that?
the meeting in June for the public forum?
We can.
Yeah?
Okay. And I can, you know, bring
It only
food
gives us
and
one
drinks
How
and
should
stuff.
we advertise for it?
do
I
this?
can put together some
Seems early.
like outreach materials for the public
Yes.
forum.
So I,
September.
we would schedule it for
I
our
agree.
After summer.
But
June
he's-
planning commission meeting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe-
I'm wondering,
Two
You almost
meetings,
have
like
to
that.
have-
Yeah,
you almost
I have
have
a
to
question.
forum before you ask them to fill out a questionnaire.
Right, I agree. And then that way you want to know what the concerns are.
Mailing
You have a question,
questionnaire
Ann?
with the tax.
yeah, I was
Easy way.
wondering in this day and age, whether we could put a notice in with the tax bill about filling out the survey online.
What do you think?
And not having, and having some hard copies that people could request if they want. But
Survey monkey.
most of the surveys I've done for quite a while have been done online. We'd have to figure out how to do that, but in the long run, it'd be a lot cheaper and easier to, figure out what people have said and gather it all together.
I've used
Suggestion.
Microsoft Forms,
Mm-hmm.
and that's very straightforward for surveys.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But it would save paper, postage, and I might be more inclined if somebody sent a notice, or even in some way we could put out an email, but in Margot's town thing and whatever, to go to a certain address and fill it out. And if they if they don't have internet access or anything, they could request a paper copy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not a formal legal document that people have to sign and do whatever. They can do it anonymously that way, and although we could ask people to put their name and contact information so that we could get back to them if they have questions. But, yeah,
Come to the meeting.
I don't know.
anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, you would potentially reach a broader audience with both an online survey and the written one. The downside is you have more work to do, because if you have, I mean, you have to have two copies of the same survey, essentially, a paper version and a digital version. It's easy to do that. It's more if you want to kind of tabulate in the data and look at and compare it, you then have to take all the paper copies and plug them into the digital one.
But
to
there
be
are
able to-
hundreds of people
Right,
that
like
we're
it's not
gonna send
it's
these
not an
back in,
insurmountable
so.
task.
Mhm.
And the nice thing about digital surveys, you can advertise it with a QR code or a link, pretty much anywhere. You know, you could have it on the board here, or on the door, and it may not.
On the town website, we could put it,
Right.
so,
Everybody
yeah.
could fill out an online survey.
That's what I was thinking.
And this would go to all
Starting to sound
the
like the
responses.
like the voting law.
Right.
People can't register.
It may, I mean, honestly, like, if you send out the paper survey to
Almost
everyone,
everybody wants to
but
just
then
do
you
it
also
online. They don't
include a
wanna be
disclaimer,
bothered.
if you
And
prefer
I'm
to
the
fill
same.
it out
I don't know.
online,
If I know that I have to
here's the
get
link and QR
an
code.
envelope,
And
fill out the
then that
address,
way
you
they
stamp
don't
on it,
have
it's like,
to
but it's just,
fill it in
if
and
you give me a
return it here, they
link,
can
Right.
just
it
scan
takes
it.
2 seconds to go through it.
And
So
so you
give
give
them
them
two options.
the opportunity, yeah.
Somebody's gonna have to do it.
Yeah, I think that
And
would
if they don't want to
be
do it, they don't do it. That's,
maybe
But I
You-
mean,
you'd like to
best
get
way for
20%
somebody's
people,
gonna have
because
to
you're literally
have
giving them
do
the,
this and set it
Well,
up.
the
but
everyone
it's
the
all
two
done automatically
options.
when you do
You're
it online.
mailing it
It's
to
all
everybody.
tabulated for you.
Yeah, but I mean,
And giving them the option to.
somebody
do it
has to
online.
develop this online
Oh, yeah,
form.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think
how
it's that
to
hard
do
to
the
do.
Microsoft.
That-
We just type it into their
Is that something
format.
that's hard to do? Fill it in.
No,
We used to
no,
use
like
this thing,
if
Survey Monkey.
you're
He
able
was
to
talking about
come up with the
Microsoft
questions,
has
I
the
could
program.
convert it
It's all
into
pretty
a Microsoft form.
Must be.
Okay.
Look at some
It would just be in
people
my
who are
account, so
gonna
then I'd have to share it with you after the fact. And
Okay.
the only downside is if I don't have much additional time
I
on it.
know, that's.
So I wouldn't
I
want
think
to
Amazon
like
has
take
made
all of the
everybody
paper
computers
ones
now.
and plug them in to the form.
And the paper ones would have to have the barcode or whatever the code is for them to go on. You have to explain this to
Let's
them.
go paperless,
You go online.
but we can't vote
No,
on
you
that
just
now
have
because we don't
to
have a quorum.
input all of the
I don't think those guys.
the
will be opposed to
responses, the paper
Oh, you're gonna
responses
vote for them
manually.
Uh-huh.
No, no.
As like
Change
digital
the-
responses,
I
because
think
it fills
computers-
out just a paper
computers have,
copy.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You'd then have to
Be
go
opposed
into
to
the
that.
digital form and copy all of their answers in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But chances are we'll have a lot more digital
Jay
than
lives with his
responses.
computer.
Right.
Jay lives with
So
his computer.
chances are that won't be a big
He does.
time sink.
Got it with every-
I just don't want to have a time sink on my
I
hands.
understand that completely. Is Microsoft Forms, then that's.
Well, let's think about doing that.
We would purchase.
It's one option. It's if the town has Microsoft 365, then you'd have Microsoft Forms. So that's just, if you have that 365 already, it's an easy option.
Okay.
But there are other comparable,
I was saying
Online
Survey
survey.
Monkey is the one
Yeah.
that I've used.
So have you done this, Frank?
I filled them out.
Are you volunteering, Frank?
Well, that makes you qualified to write one.
I'm sure it's not that hard.
There
okay.
you go.
You give the question, you just type the questions in.
Typed questions can
Frank?
make a survey for us.
He just volunteered.
I guess I have to do something as vice chairman.
You're the vice chairman.
I thought it was chairman of
You
vice.
gotta earn your keep
Got
now.
to earn my keep.
So we'll plan then, maybe we'll plan the June meeting as a public
I
forum.
don't know if I have Microsoft 365.
How do we advertise for it?
I'll come up with
I
some,
bought, I paid him
Like,
$100 a
learn
year.
about
I
the town
should.
plan and what it means.
And the paper of record though, right?
You don't have to. No, we can just put it on, the website. I can do like a flyer. And if front porch forum, if that's,
Yeah, Front Porch Forum.
can put it there.
Facebook, I guess, the
Mhm.
Facebook, Plymouth Facebook page,
Yeah.
okay.
Get it, the Plymouth Press, Margot Marone's stuff
Oh,
is
right.
always printed there. And
Okay,
But getting the QR code and getting that out there is the best thing, I think.
how do you do that? Do you know how to do that? I do not know.
I did that a
It's-
He
while
just
ago.
volunteered to do it.
Yeah,
better
It's
keep my
very,
mouth
it's
shut.
very, like with a lot of this
There are programs to
online
make
or
QR
digital
programs,
survey
yeah.
software, they make
We got
sharing it very easy
Yeah.
via a link or a QR code. You just click the button
Link
and
is
it
easiest.
generates a code. And you can just save it as like
Oh,
an image.
okay.
Yeah.
Probably the front office knows a lot.
They would know, yeah. The link would be used if you're sending out something electronic.
Hmm.
The QR code would be if you're sending something by paper.
Or if you're on like the
Yep.
town website, putting it there, you'd maybe use the link or
I should
both.
really start typing the
And you could
the
scan them.
link. Because invariably the last 10 digits are digits.
Yeah.
What day is the May meeting?
Okay.
The what?
The meeting in May, which day?
second, I think.
May is the.
First Tuesday in May.
I think we're gonna have two conditional use hearings that.
Oh, okay.
So that won't be one that's.
We won't.
It's Cinco de Mayo.
You, I don't think.
Right, we may want to scuttle that one.
But if we get
Oh, I'm gonna
those
meet
out of
Spista.
the way,
I'm going to
hopefully we
Miami
won't have
next
anything in,
What's that?
I'm going to Miami the next morning.
Yeah, but if we're doing the public forum in June,
Sete de Mayo?
then,
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah,
is
but
the-
you're leaving.
Okay.
Sete
Oh, no, I'm
de
going to
Mayo.
my grandson's graduation.
On Sete de Mayo.
Siete.
there's a
No,
calendar
seis.
here.
6.
Yeah, oh,
Seis de Mayo.
6 de Mayo,
You're
is
missing
that the official term?
Yeah.
6 de Mayo?
seis is 6. Siete is 7.
All right. So I think we've actually covered the next two items on the agenda. Discuss plan for the meeting.
June 2nd, okay. Oh, I'm not here.
You're not here?
No, I'm in the Atlantic somewhere.
In the Atlantic
Azores.
somewhere.
Well, the,
Yeah, fine.
I could zoom in.
you're
I'll
going to
be,
the Azores.
yeah, 6 hours difference.
Place to be.
This is May?
No, June 2nd.
Oh, okay.
June 2nd.
Okay,
Because I am not likely to be here in May unless my plans change.
probably Zoom.
My thought is having it during the summer months is going to lessen the attendance, but I might be wrong about that.
Usually
2nd
people are
is the meeting.
traveling in the
Yeah.
summer, so
Probably wait till September.
September. But it begs the question of when I would come
Yeah.
back if there are conditional use hearings in May.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be 2, but I'll know by Thursday.
Okay,
There is 2 in the queue, but we don't have
We don't have the
the
paperwork yet.
paperwork or the money in yet.
You're gonna have a,
We have to put the warning in the paper by Thursday in order for it to appear the following Wednesday.
short
and give us a
turnaround.
15-day
Yeah.
window.
Maribel Arujo submitted her paperwork, but I don't think Jim has
Done
looked at it
on
yet.
No.
No.
And then the other one is Rotniak. So you're not here June.
Everything is
June
short-term
2nd.
rental now, isn't it?
So what about,
Everything?
just for the
As
next
far
meeting?
as what?
Yeah,
Well,
July?
You know, the
These
action,
applications.
okay.
And then there's this guy, what's his name, who owns,
What, is it the
ski
first
First
Tuesday?
Tuesday.
So July
oh,
7th.
the guy who owns all this.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
gonna be developing
July 7th.
I hadn't heard that one yet.
a couple of buildings and from what Jay says, that's all gonna be short-term rental.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it's a much bigger,
You're gonna be rich.
rich. Might be the most hated person in town. I'm working on it.
Yeah. You have a winning smile, though.
Okay.
But the email correspondence doesn't show through that.
So if we can't meet in May, then it would be July 7th. It sounds like we may need a little more time just to organize the public forum. And we're already in July. I don't think people will be, it's kind of coming off of a holiday weekend,
No.
so it
Yeah,
wouldn't be a good time for that, but we could get some work done. The next chapters are utilities, facilities, and services, telecommunication facilities, and education. So there'll be more bulk there, things to do, and we can cover those in July.
so the July meeting would be,
Utilities, facilities, and
I
services,
think I got those on here already.
telecommunication facilities, and education.
Yeah,
Yeah.
education also, utility and facility
Mhm.
plan. Telecommunications and education,
Mhm.
I don't have that, okay,
Yeah, so there's 3. And that would be July 7th.
okay.
Fourth of July is on a Saturday. That could be interesting.
All right, well, that's all I've got. And we've got the next meeting scheduled, so,
Okay. Survey questions, anything, do you want to discuss what you did on the survey?
No, I think we've hit upon the next 2 items on our agenda sufficiently at this point in time. We're not in a point where we need to come up with actual questions for the
No.
survey.
Okay,
And as far as our next meeting in May, is that when we're gonna have it now with the next chapters?
no.
No.
In May, it was like we've got 2 conditional use
Okay,
hearings.
so we're good.
So I need to speak to Jay and about the capital budget. And
And that'll help with the utilities and facilities chapters,
Yeah.
because that'll have a lot of the information that we'll want to include there.
So
And
I
roads.
didn't
Roads,
hear
yeah.
what June is, or isn't it?
It doesn't sound like June is happening, because I'm in the Azores when the meeting is occurring.
Too bad.
We'll go.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there are worse places to be.
No, that'd be a nice place to be.
Yeah.
All right.
So if we meet in June at all, we could talk about survey and how we would kind of do some of this other stuff, no,
And get it, that
or
would,
just,
that would be a good idea, and,
I think we can put it on May's agenda with the idea that if we don't have enough time, we can move it to June, but for now, let's not push it too far ahead. Same thing with
Okay.
our zoning permit revision.
okay,
There's only 4 of us here right now, so
Right.
we're gonna table that until May,
okay.
all right? So at this point, there could be a motion to adjourn.
Let me just ask one question. Did
Yes.
Jim Allen have any feedback on that form? Or should he have any feedback
On
on
the
the form?
form, I don't,
I got sent to him, I don't know if he
yeah,
looks at it or
I
not.
don't think he's going to. I think his job is well-defined on what he does, you know, the form is the
No,
application
no, I'm just saying, as long as
process.
he's the one who reviews the form, maybe there's
Yeah.
something that he
Well, we'll ask
would
him.
like to see that he has to do extra work.
Okay, let's find
I'm
out.
not thinking from a policy standpoint.
Okay.
Just from a practicality, like, yeah, I'd really like to have the lot number or something. I'm just making that up, but, because I always have to look that up on the assessor.
There were, like, Angela had added battery storage system to project descriptions. And that's something that Jim would discuss to see if we should
But that's
add it. Without having our zoning.
That's not in our
not in our zoning, so that would be under the fire department's
Yeah.
purview. You can have these signatures. Have to bring it next meeting.
Yeah, well, thanks, Kyle.
do I need to
Thank
sign
you, Kyle.
that?
Are you sailing down to the Azores?
What,
I am not, no, and fortunately, the tickets were skyrocketing
okay.
oil prices, so lucked out there.
Yeah,
But,
As long as
Yeah.
you don't have to swim.
yeah, I know.
that's why Airbnb might be busy.
If that were the case, I would not be coming back in July.
Fly, and then right here.
Possible, yeah.
Seen that happen.